welcome to the first video of Cooking for the Week. Today what we're going to be cooking is we're going to be getting ready for a school week with nutritious snacks. We're going to get some popcorn in there. We're going to get what Starbucks sells as protein snacks or protein pack. They also have a cheese and fruit one, and we're going to do our own. We're also going to make stew for the week. We're also going to make some homemade bread, and then we're going to have a dessert. We're going to be making lavender chocolate. So, part of what makes this cooking unique from the intro that I already showed you before, that you've already clicked on, is that this is all about organization so that you can be really efficient with your time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to get everything ready so that you spend as little time as possible making some great meals for the week. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my water ready and I'm going to boil some eggs. So what we're going to be doing is when we're making our protein snacks, we're going to have a bunch of different things in it. We are going to have hard-boiled eggs. We're going to have some almond butter. We're going to have a little bit of homemade bread. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to have some crackers for the cheese with the cheese snack and the fruit. And so what we need to do though to be efficient with our time is start our eggs. So we're going to get those boiling. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start our simple syrup, because although it's very quick in making the syrup part, it has to rest for about 10 or 15 minutes. So we're going to start that next. So we've got our eggs going so that they can be cooked and cooled by the time we need to put together our protein snacks. Then we're going to get our lavender simple syrup going so that by the time at the end we get to making our chocolates, our syrup has completely emulsified and it's ready to go and tastes great. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to go ahead and take a cup of sugar, a cup of water, and 2 tablespoons of lavender flowers, and we're going to mix them all together in this pot. I'm going to put it on the stove. I'm going to cook it on a hard boil for 1 minute, then I'm going to turn it off and it has to rest for about 10 or 15 minutes. So here we go. I've got my whole lavender flowers right here. One cup of water, 1 cup of sugar. You can use different sugars if you want to. I'm just going to use regular white sugar. In some next installments, I'm going to be talking about differences and substitutions for people who would rather use honey or maple syrup or even maybe use coconut sugar. So here we go. 1, 2. Hard boil for 1 minute. Turn it off and let it rest for 10 or 15. I'm going to also stir this in. You have to make sure that that hard boil gets it so that the sugar is completely dissolved. So we're going to go ahead and start this. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and make bread. I love Pamela's bread mix. Now, I do make bread from scratch sometimes, but what I want to do is just use this so that I can be more time efficient. I love this bread mix. The reason that I make my own bread is because every time I go to buy some organic gluten-free bread, it's pretty expensive. This entire thing right here, Pamela's bread mix, I can usually get 5 or 6 loaves from it, and it's really cost effective, and it's got some great ingredients. If you've never made bread before, one of the key ingredients with bread is that you've got to have your active dry yeast, but what you need to do is you've got to make sure that your water is lukewarm. And what is lukewarm? Well, let me tell you, I'm getting my water ready right now. So I have a 1/4 cup of oil in here. Lukewarm means this: when you put your finger in the water and you put it on your wrist, you can't feel the water. If it's too warm, you'll be able to feel that your wrist is hot. And if it's too cold, the opposite. You can feel that your wrist is cold. So lukewarm is perfect. Yeast loves to grow in lukewarm water. So you need to make sure that your water is lukewarm. This particular recipe calls for 2 eggs. So we're gonna put those in. We're gonna mix it. You put your water, oil, egg mixture in first. Then you go ahead and put your bread mix in, and you make a little crater with it. And then you're gonna go ahead and put in your yeast. So let's do that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my bread. I know that this is cooking for the week and it's supposed to take you 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours to get a lot of cooking done for your week. This will take about 2.5 hours. What's neat about bread machines though, is that you can go ahead and leave. It'll do all of the cooking, all of the baking and everything, and it'll actually, when it's done, just keep it warming for you. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in, and we're gonna start our bread. Next, let me just show you really quickly. My lavender flowers have been boiling at a hard boil, so I'm going to go ahead and turn them off. I'm going to stir to make sure that it's all of the sugar is completely dissolved. And now I'm going to let this rest. I'm going to start with 10 minutes, and then I'm going to taste it, and if it needs a little bit more time, I'm going to let it sit for 5 more. So we'll start for 10. My hard-boiled eggs are getting there too. They just started boiling, so I turned them down to medium. And when this goes off at 10, I'm gonna let my hard-boiled eggs sit in the hot water for just a little bit, make sure they're totally cooked. And then I'm gonna cool them, and I'll show you what we're gonna do with that. So let's go ahead and plug in our bread. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna start some rice, because one of the things that we're making for our cooking for the week is we're gonna be making some burritos that you can quickly grab on the go. So let's go ahead and get the bread machine plugged in and our rice started. I want to show you a little trick with rice. So my husband and I, we lived and taught in the Solomon Islands in the Peace Corps for 2 years. And in many indigenous places that eat rice, they don't have measuring spoons, they don't need them. What they do instead is you go ahead and you take your desired amount of rice and you pour it into your pot. So, I'm gonna go ahead and pour in some rice. I'm not measuring it, remember? But I wanna show you how to do this. So, when you measure without a measuring cup, you pour in your rice. This also works with quinoa. And what you do is you put your finger in the rice, and wherever the rice goes up to, that's the measurement. So I have this much rice in my pot. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double the amount of water in there. So I'm gonna start putting water in, and as soon as I think it's to the point where it's doubled, I should be able to put my fingertip on the top of the rice, and then the water should go and fill in that gap. And you've measured for enough water to rice ratio. you don't need a measuring spoon anymore. Okay, and here we go. There's my rice. I know everybody says you should rinse rice first. You can. I don't eat enough rice to feel like it's necessary for me to rinse it every time. So there's my rice. I put my fingertip on top and the water is just hitting my thumb. So I'm gonna get this boiling, then I'm gonna turn it down to simmer and cover it. Here we go. The next thing that we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and get our beef stew ready. This is a really simple recipe that a friend of mine gave me with crock pot. So we're gonna go ahead and get this ready. We're gonna get it going in our crock pot. It's really, really easy. And then you can go ahead and put it in, I put mine in mason jars, and I just bring that mason jar to work with me and I heat it up. So here we go. I've got my crock pot. And here are all the ingredients. I've got my beef broth and I've got my Lipton soup onion packs for soup and rice mix. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in both of these containers of beef broth. I like my beef broth strong, so I'm going to put in both containers of the Lipton soup mix. This is so easy. Okay, I just rinsed my potatoes. I have little round potatoes. I love them in this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them in. And I've got my organic beef that was also grass-fed. So this is already cubed up for me, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in. Okay, now, sometimes people think that when things start to go bad in the fridge that you just throw them away. It's not necessarily true. It can be true if it could actually be hurtful and damaging for you, but a carrot that isn't crisp anymore, it's okay to put it in your stew because it's going to soften in there anyway and it gives a nice flavor. I like these organic carrots that are all different colors. I think it makes my stew really nice and pretty. So I'm going to cut them. I'm going to put them in. We're going to start our stew. I'm going to go ahead and cook it on high for about 2 hours. Then I'm going to turn it on to low. This evening when I make dinner, I'm going to turn it off so that by the time I go to bed, it's cooled enough for me to put into jars to bring to work with me. So let's go ahead and cut our carrots. Here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and stir it all together. Get that, get the Lipton soup going. It looks so good. It's going to be awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. This can be either dinner or it can be lunches for the week. So we're going to go ahead and get this going. I'm going to plug it in right over here. Okay. So far, we've got our bread going, we've got our stew going. My rice is ready for me to stir it. So it's at a hard boil now. I'm going to stir it. I'm going to put the lid on and I'm going to turn it on for about 10 minutes. I just always check my rice. So that's what we're going to do right now. We've got 2 minutes left for our eggs, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop those and under some ice cold water. The reason you want to pop them under ice cold water right away is because it makes it nice and easy to go ahead and peel the egg. If you just let them cool down slowly, sometimes you can get an egg that's really difficult to peel. I'm sure you've had that before. So I'm gonna get my eggs off the stove. I'm gonna dunk them into cold water, as cold as I can get from the tap. And then I'm gonna let them sit in that cold water so that they can cool down so that I can go ahead and make the snacks that we're gonna be making for the week. So, stirring my rice, putting a lid on, turning it on low, restarting my timer for 10 minutes. I'm gonna check my rice. Then it might probably need more time. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead, get my eggs cooled, and then I'll meet you right back here. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna quickly go ahead and make some popcorn. I know this sounds silly. I have an air popper. I love using it. I also have another popcorn, it's called a Whirly Pop. I have a Whirly Pop popcorn too. That one's really fun when I wanna use a little bit of oil. I don't this time. My kids love popcorn as a snack. We pop our own air pop popcorn. I usually make 2 batches. The only thing that I put on it is a little bit of salt and some nutritional yeast. If you haven't worked with nutritional yeast before, it's so good. It's like a natural cheese sauce, right? Like that you have on popcorn, kind of like Cheetos, like the dust, the cheese dust that it gets off on your fingers when you eat Cheetos. Nutritional yeast is amazing. It has a lot of different vitamins in it, and it tastes really good. It's almost like butter. So we're gonna go ahead and get that started right now. Okay, our popcorn is done popping. I'm gonna go ahead and put a bunch of nutritional yeast in it. I love this stuff, and my kids do too. If you are new to nutritional yeast and you want to get rid of all of the yucky things that are in Cheetos, it's gonna take a minute for your kids to get used to this, and you too. But once you do, you will want it on everything. It's lovely. So I've got this in here. I'm just gonna shake it in. I like using really good salt. So I'm gonna be using Himalayan sea salt. It has really yummy flavor. I'm gonna put a bunch of salt on it. I'm gonna go ahead and let these cool down a little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and put them into Ziplocs for later. The other thing that I did is that while this was popping, I got out all of the things that I need to put together our snacks for the week. My eggs are cool, the lavender is completely done and tastes amazing, and my rice is also finished. So we're gonna be able to put everything together right now. So let's go ahead and do that and make our snacks. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put our snack packs together. One's gonna be a protein snack pack that you're gonna be able to just grab the big Ziploc and bring everything that you need and put it into your fridge at work, and it'll give you protein snacks for the whole week. The other one's gonna be a fruit and cheese snack pack. So we're gonna make 2 different ones. I'm just gonna assemble everything. I've got my eggs ready to go, and then you'll have those things for the week. So here we go. First, I've got some crackers. I've got these little protein peanut butter, Justin's peanut butter. You can find these pretty cheap and on sale every once in a while. I made my own granola. So I have 2 different granolas that I'm gonna put into some jars. I have some really good cheeses. I have an extra sharp Tillamook cheese. And then I've got these little individually wrapped wee Breeze, little Brie. And so anyway, I'm gonna start putting it all together, and you're gonna see how these snack packs come together. I also have a lime that I'm gonna go ahead and cut, and 2 avocados. My husband and I love avocados, so I always just put 1 in, then you just go ahead and cut it, take out the pit, squeeze the lime on top of it, use a spoon. It's a really good, quick, nice protein, but also a good for you fat that you can have in your snack pack. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble these now. Okay, so Now we've finished our snacks, and now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make our burritos. What I do whenever I get my tortillas is I keep the tortilla bag because it's just a big Ziploc. So what I do with my tortillas is I've got them right here. Then I go ahead and I've already pre-made my tin foil. And I'm gonna go ahead and put those there. I've got the rice that I made this morning. I've got my nice refried beans. I made salsa the other day, peach salsa, because peaches are in season right now. And I have grated cheese, and that's it. And I'm gonna go ahead and assemble these, roll them up, put them in here, stick them in the freezer, and then that way, if somebody doesn't have time to make lunch for the next day, they go ahead and just grab one of these. By the time it's lunchtime, it's mostly thawed out. You take it out of the tin foil and you're able to put it into your microwave at work and heat it up just barely. So it's a nice, quick lunch. So let's go ahead and put those together. Okay, so now all of our lunches are made, our burritos are done, and they're in that mission bag that's also a Ziploc. At the end of the show, I'll show you everything that we've made so far just to refresh your memory, and I'll talk about what we're going to be doing next week. For me, remember, I'm a full-time teacher, so this is really important for me to be able to get my kiddos to have really good lunches when they go to school. So next week, I'm going to be featuring how to have really good lunches for my kids, and then also featuring some other dishes, lunches, snacks, desserts that you can make. So the more that you do this, the more you're going to be putting away food into your freezer, and eventually it's going to become something where you're doing very little cooking every week, only on Sundays, which is really nice. Because then that way, when you come home and you've been working all day and you're tired and you and your husband or you and your partner don't have enough time or energy to go ahead and cook something, you can just pull something out of the freezer and you've got it ready to go. Remember, this is also cost effective. My family and I are about $650 as far as the amount of money that we use for the month, and I'm trying to get that down to $600. Most of everything that I use is from scratch. A lot of it is from my own garden, and some of it is organic. Some of it is not, but I try really hard to be careful about what I choose to buy if it's not organic. I still want it to have nutrients and be really good for you. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make our chocolates. I have right here all of my mini muffin tray filled in with my little tiny muffin papers. And these chocolates are really easy. All you need to have is a little bit of vanilla extract, some kind of sweetener, and I'm going to use my lavender syrup. You need to have coconut oil, and you're going to need to have some cocoa. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these all together, pour them in, then I'm going to pop them in the freezer. Once they're totally frozen, I'm going to take them out, put them in a Ziploc, and keep them in the freezer. Because this doesn't have any almond flour, these melt pretty quickly, so you don't want to leave them out. When I make chocolates again, I'll teach you how to make it with a little bit of almond flour. That way they can stay in the fridge or out longer, but these are really good if you keep them in the freezer. So here we go. I'm going to put everything together and start pouring them in. Okay, friends, we finished it. We did our first cooking for the week. We've got popcorn for a snack for the kids. We've got our burritos that I'm going to pop into the freezer, and all you have to do is open it up and grab one to have it for lunch. We've made our lavender chocolates. Remember, we're gonna put them in the freezer and then pop them out, put them in a Ziploc. And I know that I seem like I'm a Ziploc freak, but I want you to know something. I recycle them over and over and over and over until they have holes and you can't use them anymore. And all of your stuff, when you're done, just go ahead and give them a little rinse, let them dry out, and then use them again. We also have our snacks for the week. I've got one over here that's a protein snack. It's got granola, crackers, the little things of peanut butter, apples, and it's got our hard-boiled eggs, one avocado and a lime. These both have that. I'll grab one for me. My husband will grab one for him to put in the fridge. Just have it work in case you need a quick snack. And the next thing is having a little bit of grapes and cheese and cracker snack. That's here too. We're each gonna grab one of those as well. Don't forget, we've got bread cooking back there. As soon as it's done and cool, I'm gonna go ahead and keep that also. And we've got beef stew. If this isn't enough for you yet this week, I'm also gonna be making some other things today. One of the things that I'm gonna make today, I'm gonna make two different quick breads. One is going to be a peach banana bread. The other one is a snickerdoodle bread. Those are my favorite cookies, and it's gonna be a bread that you can have with coffee in the morning. Next, I'm gonna be working on and finishing and starting a new batch of kombucha. I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to be making and experimenting with avocados and making a refrigerator pickle avocado. I'm going to slice them really thin, pickle them, and I think that's going to be a really yummy and tasteful topping for eggs in the morning. I'm also, sorry, all my ingredients are over there. I'm also going to be going ahead and using some of the lavender that I have that I picked from the garden. It's a sage. It's actually a kind of mint, but this lavender has a very sage taste to it. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be making some chicken for that for one of my meals of the week, and I'll be doing that today as well. So if you're a more advanced cook and you want some more, go ahead and click on one of any of those other videos and go ahead and keep cooking with me. Until next week, this is Urban Homesteader cooking for the week. Right now, we're going to go ahead and learn how to make some lavender chicken. Since you are choosing this small video, I'm assuming you're an advanced cook. Therefore, I'm not going to show a whole lot. I'm just going to talk a little bit. What I've got are my organic drumsticks. I've got some rosemary. I have a little sprig of lavender, olive oil, garlic powder, and I'm going to go salt and pepper on this. And that's it. I'm going to lay it all in there. I'm just going to cover it, put it in the fridge, and that's what we're going to have for dinner. So let's go ahead and get started.